Hello, everybody. I pray that all is well with you. I pray that you are taking care of yourself. I pray that you are setting boundaries. I pray that you are living the life that you truly deserve to live and giving yourself permission to fully embody and step into the journey of life that is meant for you. So today, I'm hoping for it to be a quick message, but it might not be. We'll just see, because the topic is really sensitive. So today, I guess I just want to talk about how society romanticizes motherhood. And in the same breath, quietly removes the very things that sustain it, like villages, like financial security, instability, like paternal accountability, like community care, and then have the nerve to turn around and blame women when they crash out. I don't feel like that's something that is personal failure. I do feel like it's something that is a structural violence, because the truth of the matter is it took two to tango. It took two to lay down and have these babies. And one parent over the other, because honestly, they're single fathers. I never thought that was a thing until I encountered a single father in my own family. Okay. But we have single fathers and we have single mothers, right? But for now, this message is on the aspect of being a single mother, because I don't fully know what it feels like to walk in a single father's position. And like y'all know, I only talk about what I can relate to, what I've experienced in my own journey, and what I know I can talk about, right? Because I don't know everything, but I know what I know, okay? And I talk about what I know, so I'm not going to be on here talking about things that I don't really know. So, back to the message. The truth of the matter is, as a single mother, I'm realizing that a lot of the time, we wear this superhuman or super mother badge of honor, and we wear it like it's like a totem, like baby, it's like, it's like, oh, she can hold it down as a single mother, so that means she must be worthy of, whatever. And in my instance, I guess because I just had never really had experience with seeing a woman role model in my life who had children and had a father figure that stuck around to help with the child, right? I've not had that experience in this lifetime, personally. Now, down the line, I did start to run into people, or, men who they may have not been with the mother, but they were damn sure a part of their children's lives. And the mothers were very much so able to breathe, able to make sure that they were able to tend to their own mental health and their own needs. And, I just kudos to those fathers who did that on behalf of the mother of their child, whether y'all were together or not. Now, in no way am I condoning being a single mother or a single father. In no way am I condoning anymore us just laying down and just having all these babies, right? I had to learn that lesson really, really, really thoroughly, as being a single mother of three kids, and none of the fathers being around, and one of them actually signing his rights away to his child while playing father of the year to his other children, right? So I've had uh, a vast experience in this whole single motherhood thing. And I've had three different examples of being a single mother, right? And dealing with the father of, or lack thereof, being the single mother, right? And so I realized that we as women, we're not meant to do this alone. And we wear a badge, and it becomes like a default, right? Because we already are dealing with our own shame. We're already dealing with our own guilt. We're already dealing with our own regret. We're already dealing with the downfall of the realization that we laid down, and instead of heeding red flags, we looked past the red flags and saw the potential. And even there was some instances like, and I feel like this is not just me speaking as a woman, but there may be other women too who have had this, where it was like I didn't really recognize the red flags, right? Because I was such in a space of fantasy and seeing the good in these men that I could not see I could not see the fuckery in these men if I was slapped with it, right? Because I could only see the good in these men, right? Until the tower moment came, where now I'm telling you that we're having a child and you're telling me to go abort it, or I'm telling you that we're having a child and you just disappear, or I'm telling you we're having a child and you just act like the child doesn't exist, right? Um, or you just completely write off the child, like. And so then in that instance, we also are taking on the fact of feeling like feeling like we aren't even worthy and deserving of love because we couldn't see the red flags, right? Because we saw only the good in this person. And then it starts to make us question, like, are we even fine tuned to be able to see past these things that we're supposed to be seeing past? Are we fine tuned enough to be able to see the red flags, or are we broken? Are we meant to just be single mothers after all, even though our dreams were, if we had children, they would be by the man that we married, or things of that nature? Did I mess up? Did I, and it's just all these different things that go through our minds once these things happen and a baby's involved, and our emotions and our hormones start getting out of whack. And I am in no way making excuses, right, as to why I became a single mother 3 times or even once. I am just simply being here, being authentic, and speaking from a space of truth and vulnerability, right? Because I don't feel like we talk about this enough. And I feel like there's a lot of women out there who are dealing with shame and guilt and regret and taking on the blame as to why their children are fatherless. And I just feel like that's a whole shitload of crap that we should not have to be taking on. Because the fact of the matter is, and it boils down to, we both laid down to have this baby, right? We both know what the fuck we were doing when this baby was conceived. And we both knew the repercussions of laying down and not wrapping it up, right? So why is it that you get to go scot-free and I have to weigh and wear the emotional baggage of regret and shame and guilt and blame for the both of us? And honestly, ladies, like, it took me such a long time to even get to that place of realization, and take accountability and really look at every situation and being able to like point out and say, you know what? I really did not see the red flags. And honestly, that does not make me broken. It makes me someone who has a heart of gold. And I have to understand that with this heart of gold, sometimes people prey on that, and I need to be accountable for my fault in the situation, right? Which was not being aware. Okay, I was a single mother the first time, and then I thought when I met the other guy that I wouldn't be a single mother that time because you know we were cool. I actually knew him and we were vibing, and it was just like I wasn't in the mindset of like, okay, he's gonna leave me until he left me. And he actually was the one who signed his rights off, and became father of, and was father of the year to his other children, even the one he had after I had a child, and it was just all of these things that I had went through and I was experiencing. And, I feel like in a way, whether they knew it or not, it was something that they like left me to have to deal with, and in a way it kept me attached to them because here I am, I'm sitting with all this built up anger, all this built up regret, all this built up shame. I'm not able to really be a thriving parent to my children because now I'm in survival mode because I have 3 mouths to feed. The economy's going to shit. I am dealing with my own, regret of having kids before I even healed myself, before I even gave myself the time to choose me, deal with me, love on me, heal my inner child. And, before I even got to really live my life, because as a child, I was a child taking care of children. I started taking care of children at 8 years old and they weren't even mine. And I'm talking babies, okay? All while being abused and traumatized and terrorized in my foster home, right? By children. So there was a lot of different layers that revolved children that created a sense of resentment in me for kids. And I do agree with the saying that's going around that's like, just because you may be good at something, or just because you can have something, it doesn't always mean that you should get it. It doesn't always mean that you should participate in it. And for a while, I was trying to gaslight myself because I didn't want to be looked at as a bad mother, and I didn't want my kids to feel like I didn't love them. And it was never that I didn't love them. It was just that I resented the fact that I did not have the knowledge or the awareness or the wherewithal that, baby, you need to go tend to you first. You need to go heal you first. You need to go sit and heal your inner child first. You need to go be without, anyone or any child but yourself first. And then come back to the drawing board and see if having children is something you still would like to do. And then at that point, after you've done that healing, to be able to discernibly and wisely decide if that was even the path for you. The road may have laid out differently for you in making that come to fruition, right? So where you didn't have to become a single mother 3 times, and I'm talking this to y'all because people only like to hear you talk when it validates their fuck shit. And I'm in no way validating my fuck shit. I'm in no way taking the blame or shame off of myself and putting it on their fathers. I am standing here as a woman who dealt with the blame, the shame, the resentment, and life showed me where my pains were coming from. So I am a woman that is standing here and I am saying that I'm not taking blame or blaming. I'm actually just seeing shit for what it is, and I'm picking up the pieces and releasing the pieces that no longer fucking serve the journey that I'm on. Okay? I took that pain and alchemized that pain. I took that shame and guilt and I'm alchemizing that shit. One day at a time. to the point where I used to look at my kids and only could see their fathers. So I resented my kids in a sense. But I loved them at the same fucking time. So it was one of those things where I loved them because deep down inside, I loved me and they came from me. And I loved them because of the times in my life that their presence just being here with me helped me to overcome a lot of stuff. Seeing how they taught me stuff. Seeing their value without them even having to do anything. And being a mirror to me for my own growth and my own inner child's healing, you know? But also resenting them because I'm seeing their fathers, the very men who, before a baby was even brought up, we were vibing. We were cool. Things were going great. But the truth of the matter is, once I got past that realization and awareness, and I was woken up to that truth, and I actually spoke that truth out loud to myself and really just took the accountability for my actions that I needed to take and released the shame and guilt and blame that I took on from their fathers and sent that shit right on back to them. Like, I'm not holding on to my shit and your shit, because that's not my place to. And you tried to make me feel like it was my place to do so by trying to control everything, every outcome, every decision, you know, and how I got to move with my kids. And even the fact of you just being absent altogether, knowing that if you were absent and I didn't have a support system, that I would eventually crumble in a sense or collapse. But the good thing about that is, when you walk a spiritual journey, or you walk a journey that involves you finding and facing yourself, and you realize that you're an alchemist, and you realize that you're God's child, and you realize that God will turn everything that you deem as negative or fearful or dark, God will make a way to transmute that and make it work in your highest and greatest good, right? And so I'm in the phase of my life now that I have accepted where I went wrong, where I have accepted where I will no longer be, and where I have accepted that I will slow down and pay better attention to the man that I entertain or give access to myself. Why? Because I now know that I deserve and that I am worthy of having nothing but the best, even when it comes to men in my life. And that I should have never settled for breadcrumbs, that I should have never settled for what looked good, I should have never settled for the potential in a man. And that I should have instead and in fact watched for the signs, watched for what they were actually showing me, and not trying to paint a different picture. I could have saved myself and spared myself from falling in those traps, right? And it's unfortunate that, you know, that didn't happen. But I am grateful that my journey found a way to turn that shit around for me, to where I could face it, to where I could slay that spirit that was trying to hang this shit over me and keep me down, you know, and make me feel like I wasn't worthy of love again, or that I wasn't worthy of having a good man in my life because I had screwed up my life, you know, or and I wasn't worthy of being a good mother because, or having my children love me and have them see me the way that they see me. Like my kids see me as a superhero, and not because of what I do, but because of how I show up in my journey. Because of how, whenever something comes along to try to pull me down or keep me down, I always rise back the fuck up 10 times stronger. And so I say all of that to say is that I know that there are women out here who are dealing with this, right? Because I wouldn't be on this video speaking about it. It wouldn't be something that is coming through. Because literally, now that I'm finding awareness, even in this video, I'm realizing that some of the stuff that I even just said is coming from inner dialogue right now. And it's just coming out of me right now to share. So I know it's meant to share and touch and reach other women because y'all are going through the same thing. And so I just want y'all to know, the moment you face yourself, the moment you stop gaslighting yourself, the moment you just really just sit and take accountability for the part that you played in this, the moment you realize and sit down and see, okay, what was their fathers actually trying to show me about myself that I didn't get at the time with them, that I now understand and understand, and it has helped me gain some wisdom from it so that I can move forward in my life and in my journey. Because what happens is, if you continue to walk around with the shame, the guilt, the resentment, and all of those other things, what is going to happen is it's going to fester within your body. It's going to make you sick. If it doesn't make you sick physically, it's going to make you sick mentally and spiritually, and it's going to block your heart space to where you put up all these walls in your heart, and your heart being the very gateway for you to access all the beauty that this life has to hold and offer for you, right? It's going to cause you to look at men as all men ain't shit. All men ain't this. I'm done dealing with men. I'm done this and that. I don't want love. Love is hard. All those things, right? Because I'm telling you, I went through a lot of shit with this realization. But the moment I started and sat with my spirit team, and I just allowed myself to be real with myself and raw with myself and not try to fix anything and not judge myself, and just really just put it all out there of what I felt, why I felt it. And I was just truly truthful with myself and with my spirit and with the Most High Mother and Father. I didn't play games about that. All the years that I did play games and I tried to gaslight it was just my problem. No, when I actually sat down and said, you know what? At this point in my life, I don't want to be a mother. I don't like being a mother at this point in my life. And why? Why don't you like being a mother? Why don't you want to be a mother? Because I'm fucking angry. Why are you angry? I'm angry because I fucking made choices and decisions that landed me at being a mother before I was even fucking ready to be a mother. And I didn't know I had other options or choices because I didn't have women around me who could be role models and guide me in the way that I should go. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that I'm pissed off too that da-da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really went down the rabbit hole within my own self and the way I was feeling as being a parent. And when I came back to the surface, the question remained, well, what do you want to do now? I want to be a fucking parent because my kids are here now and I do love them. But I want to be a parent that is actually healed her inner child. I want to be a parent that is actually able to take care of my own needs while I also be a parent, so my kids can get the best of me and not the traumatic essence and parts of me. I want to actually be a mother that passes on clear water and not dirty, murky fucking water to my kids. And it was like, okay, well, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to apply the wisdom of the mistakes. I'm going to apply the wisdom from the mistakes and the shame and the guilt and the resentment that I carried from these mistakes. I'm going to apply the wisdom that I gained from them, and I'm going to apply them in my life. How? Okay, well, I'm going to now vet men better. I'm going to now look for the red flags and not just go into it expecting to see red flags or looking for red flags. I'm not going to go into this thing fearful. I'm going to go into this thing standing in my own divine power and using my spiritual discernment and gifts to be able to point or tell me or ping my intuition when something's off that I need to pay attention to. But I'm not going to go into this fully scared or fearful or just investigating. I'm not going into this in that energy because I also know there's a such thing called self-fulfilling prophecy, and I'm not trying to just go in there and do all this and then the reason why these men actually turn out to be that way is because I had already projected this for them to be prior to meeting them, right? So no, I'm going into this in my divinity and in my authority and in my power. I'm going into this standing in my standards and my boundaries and honoring who I am as a woman and not bypassing what a man is showing me because I can see his potential. I will still see your potential and know that your potential is not good enough for me now and let your ass go. Right? And that is not only helping me to heal from the shame and the guilt and the resentment that I've held all this time, that has allowed these men to energetically have control over my life and me being loved properly by an actual good man who is in alignment with me, right? Because that's what tends to happen too, is if you don't face that, then you sit around and talk about, oh, I'm gonna keep, you don't want the kids and this and that, whatever, and then some women, use the kids as pawns. Oh, you can't see the child, but I don't think it's really coming from a space of where y'all really trying to use the kids as pawns because of anything other than the fact that you haven't sat down and really faced yourself and faced your part of the accountability and seen things from a higher and a different perspective on the whole situation, that we just fucked up on the men that we chose to lay down and have babies with. And because we didn't have role models to guide us and tell us, hey, I don't think that you should be going this way. I don't think that dude is, I don't think you're seeing that dude for what he really is. I think you should pay closer attention, or even down to the fact of, okay, now we're pregnant. I don't know how you feel about having a baby, but I feel like maybe you should go and do your own healing work, and, maybe we should, take that ass to the clinic, But also, if we do that, you need to be more responsible and gain wisdom from this, because you don't want to be a person who's always up in the fucking clinic. So I just feel like, y'all, that as women, single mothers, we can't pour from an empty cup. And it's unfortunate, especially for those of us who are walking around, we don't have no village at all, right? No support at all. So we really are day in and day out doing this thing physically by ourselves with our babies. And I want to give y'all kudos, and I want to tell y'all to take a moment to just give yourself a pat on the back, because it's hard. It's hard. And there's so many single mothers who are just taking themselves out of this realm because it's so hard. But to the ones that are staying, to the ones that get up stronger every day, to the ones who said, I will not let this break me. I will bounce back from this. I will overcome this. Kudos to y'all. And we send healing to the ones who did depart us. May their souls receive healing and restoration and renewal and clarity, But to the ones that are still here with us today, that are going through this, I implore you to understand The truth of the matter is, motherhood without support isn't empowerment, it's survival. And you've been surviving. I implore you to take a deep dive into yourself and sit with yourself. This is the part of shadow work that isn't often discussed, is that sometimes the rabbit hole is you. Sometimes the rabbit hole you have to go down is the one that is inside of you. And I think I came to that actualization when I was watching Frozen, the second one with Elsa, when she had to go follow the voice into the unknown. And it led her back to herself, where she had to go down that hole, that rabbit hole. That was symbolic of a rabbit hole of herself in order to figure out who she was and in order able to alchemize and see where she needed to go and who she needed to be in order for her to be able to get to where she needs to go, right? So I want you to know that just because you're in survival mode as a single mother, it does not mean you're a failure, right? It definitely means that there was a system put in place that does not fully support you, that does not fully see you, right? Because nobody should be a single parent out here. I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say. I'm sorry. But nobody should be a single parent out here. And there should be accountability from whichever parent decides to walk away. And there should be a village around the parents in general and the children. Nobody should be out here raising kids by themselves, because literally the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child, and I wholeheartedly stand behind that. Even though I never grew up with a village, when I think about that saying, when I picture what that saying feels like, every time I picture it, I see children being loved on and supported by people who actually support and love on them and want to protect them. And I see healthy mothers or fathers who are able to make sure that they can be there for their children too. You can't fully be there for your child, let alone yourself, if your needs are going unmet. And that's just that. I don't agree with the fact that you should be, just when you have children, your life stops and you stop living because you have to. I don't resonate with that. I feel like that's a cop out. I feel like that's some patriarchal shit. I feel like that's some systemic shit. I feel like that's some bypassing shit. And I don't agree with that. If you was grown enough to lay down and have a child with me, your ass should be grown enough to take accountability or be held accountable. Period. But we're not, or at least I'm not. I'm not in a position to where I feel like I even want to go out of my way to do such. Because every time I have tried, the children, the fathers of my children have made it very clear that they will never grow up and take accountability for their actions when it came to them raising their children by me. I'm the problem. And so I just refuse to engage. I've placed it all in the Most High's hands and in my ancestors' hands. And I've taken the action that I needed to take in the physical. But also with me doing this, I'm realizing too that I deserve to be the best that I can be for myself, first and foremost. And then I deserve to be the best that I could be for my children. And that I'm not going to put myself in a position to not have love or be loved properly, because that's what I'm here to have and experience, part of it. And I'm not going to let their manipulation tactics continue to have control over me or keep me bound in the heart space from being able to progress and move forward and give my kids the mother that they deserve, to give myself and my inner child the mother that I never had, and to see my dreams, aspirations, ambitions, and goals come to fruition. I very much so intend to be the mother who everybody tried to step on and use as a doormat or keep down. And she was the mother who turned it all around and transformed dramatically to the point where nobody could recognize her because she became a whole new being. And in all actuality, she didn't become a whole new being. She just stepped into who God really initially had made her out to be in this life. She just got away and did away with all the murky bullshit and projections and expectations and rules that society placed upon her as she grew up. So, ladies, it's time for you to start taking accountability. It's time for you to stop holding on to shit that no longer serves you. The babies are here now, right? You ain't got the village, okay? Don't let it hold you down. Don't let it hold you back. Take it easy on yourself. Some days you ain't going to be able to have that 100% strength to be able to be a mother. And I need y'all to stop trying to push through that shit. In 2026 and beyond, we got to get to a place as single mothers of acknowledging and facing the shit that's inside of us that's keeping us from taking full on accountability of our actions so we can heal past that shit. Because God has something better in store for us. And we may not know what it is right now, but baby, if once you get all the murky shit out of you, you're going to start to feel it. You're going to start to feel it. So do away with the stuff that no longer serves you, right? And if you want to know more about this stuff, you want to know more about, some of the stuff I went through as far as life itself and friendships, relationships, connections, and in my own family type shit, you know, you can purchase my books. I got a workbook and I got a memoir that I wrote. And a workbook goes with the memoir. It's a guided companion. So I took some stuff that I learned and turned it into a 11-week curriculum of reflections. Because I am the alchemist in my life. And honestly, ladies, I feel like you are too. You just got to remember it. And you got to give yourself permission to open that door for it to present itself to you. But you can't do that if you're still holding on to shit that no longer serves you. Give that man his guilt back. Give that man his shame back. Give that man his resentment back. Give that man his part of the blame back. It wasn't just all you. And once you realize that, you're going to start to feel so much better just off that alone. But anyways, I've said all I needed to say today. This is Staisha signing off. Ashe.